Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so the virtually unprecedented hour-long televised negotiation and discussion on a deal on DACA and border security between the president and congressional leaders, both parties, where you had...
Sitting next to Dick Durbin.
Yeah, Dick Durbin was to his right.
Yeah.
He should have put him in a headlock, given him a noogie. Trump trying to be conciliatory.
But it also has to be, I feel, having the Democrats in with us is absolutely vital, because this should be a bipartisan bill. This should be a bill of love. Truly, it should be a bill of love, and we can do that.
And the Democrats being somewhat conciliatory as well. Steny Hoyer, Minority Whip.
Democrats are for security at the borders. I want to state that emphatically. There is not a Democrat that is not for having secure borders.
I don't know if I believe Steny Hoyer, but it's nice that he said it. And so the deal that seems to be coming into formation is, at minimum, the DACA designees stay and wall and border security funding happens. The wall where the wall needs to be, right, as the president said. He also added, though, did President Trump, he wants the deal to include an end on chain migration and an end to the diversity visa lottery. We'll see if those are component parts of whatever deal is ultimately struck, assuming one is before March 5th, the deadline the president has set on the DACA designees. For more on this topic and the economic impacts of it, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Steve Moore, chief economist for the Heritage Foundation, senior economist for CNN, Wall Street Journal columnist. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Do we have
25,000?
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We missed that first part.
How do you like Dow 25,000?
My 401k likes it.
We had a party. We were swinging from chandeliers. We were so excited, Stephen Moore.
What about?
I told you.
Yes. Well, let's keep it going. There are some that are predicting that ultimately you're only forestalling the natural business cycle, and we're going to see a recession in 2020 going into the president's reelect. 2019 going into the president's reelect.
Well, look, it's hard to predict where the economy is going to go from here, but every indicator right now is pointing straight north. I don't know if you saw the latest survey numbers on how Americans feel about the job market, but they feel more optimistic than any time in 25 years. The small business index is pointing straight north, the highest optimism of small businesses in 30 years. No matter what statistic, my favorite one right now actually is that the black unemployment rate is the lowest it's been since we've started recording these numbers in 1972.
Yeah.
So something has to be going right with Trump, which is why I think these people who say that he's a moron, an imbecile, unfit for office. My God, he's only been in office 1 year. He's already rebuilt the economy faster than Obama could do in 8 years. On this immigration issue, look, I'm pro-immigration. I think immigrants are important for our economy. I think they're one of our great comparative advantages. But I do think build the damn wall. Let's get the wall built so that Americans feel like the border has been secure, that Washington is taking border security and illegal immigration seriously. And then once that happens, I think the kinds of things that would help the economy, like more technology-based immigrants, more agriculture workers, the things that our industry needs, we can get the immigrants we want and need who want to become Americans. So I'm all in on this, but I think that people like Durbin who say, well, we're not going to build the wall, look, we had an election, right? If there was a mandate for anything, it was, I was at the rallies, build the wall.
Right. Everyone wants the wall built, but Trump kept saying during the campaign, and we're going to make Mexico pay for it. But Mexico, they're not going to pay for something that they don't want, and clearly we're going to have to pay for the wall.
Probably not. Probably not. But look, that was a soundbite of Trump's, and I didn't think it was very likely. But the truth is, there are ways to put, you could put a little fee when people cross the border to help pay for the wall, like things like that, which would make people who use the border and cross the border help pay for the wall. But look, What I find ironic, Dan and Amy, is I've been in Washington 30 years. I've never seen the Democrats virtually ever oppose a spending program. The only spending program in 30 years I've seen the Democrats oppose, other than school vouchers for D.C. kids, is building the wall. The one thing that America needs, which is our national security and our defending our borders, that's the only thing they don't want to spend money on.
Yeah, it's interesting, although, Steny Hoyer is saying they're very serious about border security, but as you note, their record suggests otherwise. Now, also, by the way, in terms of financing this, Trump is saying that people saying $40 billion, it should be more like a third of that and should take a year, not 7 years. I mean, for goodness sakes, It took 3 years to build the Golden Gate Bridge, the last century. And so, but with respect to immigration and the spend side of it, what the deal that Trump is proposing, that the wall is a must. He also wants this, but a wall for permanent status for DACA designees. That's a deal that you would strike.
Yeah, I don't know all the latest negotiations on this, but I do know this. I think that you could certainly make a deal for a legalization program. But I think for a lot of Americans, including myself, citizenship may be a bridge too far. I mean, I'm talking not necessarily about the kids, but the parents who came in illegally. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure that the American people do agree with the idea that they should become citizens when they came in illegally. But I don't know. How do you guys feel about that one?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big supporter of having dreamers. So the 700,000 people who are taken here without their, they didn't know they were kids. I'm in favor. I'm saying I'm in favor of the kids becoming, a path to citizenship. Right. And their parents, if they haven't broken any laws, if they are, paying mortgages, obviously if they have jobs and they're paying taxes, we should give them a chance. I
have one other thing. Let me
add
one other thing to that I think is important.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that if we give legalization and maybe eventually citizenship to these folks, that they not have been using welfare benefits. That's where I get off the train. I am for, Dan and Amy, immigrants who want to come into this country and contribute and create a better life for themselves and share in our freedoms and liberties, but not coming in and going on welfare. If you come in on welfare, it used to be in the golden ages, people came in and they lifted themselves up by their bootstraps and they made a better life for themselves. But we used to turn back people if they were going to become a public charge. Now liberals the first thing they want to do when they come into the country is put them on food stamps.
Yeah, because it makes them a Democrat voter. Here's the and by the way, also just in terms of financing this, you do have NAFTA renegotiation ongoing.
Yep.
So building that in.
For the wall.
Yeah. On the spend side, though, since that hasn't been talked about in terms of the immediate agenda items on the Republicans' agenda in the new year, DACA, infrastructure, entitlement reform, that's a spend reform, obviously. What about this plan that has been advanced previously, I think including by you, certainly Senator Mike Enzi, the penny plan? To take one penny out of every dollar the federal government spends over a decade, you'd reduce our debt load by almost half, and then you start to have the federal government living within our means.
Dan, how in the world could you be so cold-hearted? I mean, come on.
One penny.
Can't save. Are you saying the federal government can save a penny on the dollar? I mean, that is craziness.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Crazy
talk.
The
penny plan is a brilliant plan. It basically says that next year, every agency, including the military, including every agency of government, will save 1 cent on the dollar. And then the next year, they'll save another cent. And you do that for 5 years, and within 10 years, you balance the budget. Was that so hard? Now, people literally go into cardiac arrest when you talk about that in Washington. But I want to urge your listeners to go to my friends at openthebooks.com. Have you looked at that website?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if you want to see areas where the federal government can save 1 cent on the dollar, go to openthebooks.com and look at the way the federal government is wasting money. I'll give you just one big example, which is that $150 billion a year, according to the federal government's own auditors, is spent on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, on fraudulent payments, people receiving a benefit that they are not eligible for. I didn't say 150 million, 150 billion. You don't think the federal government can save 1 cent on the dollar? Come on.
All right. He is Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, economist for CNN and for the Heritage Foundation. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Have a great week, guys. Take care.
You too.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.